So in the previous video, we talked about how to change an equation from vertex form to standard form. Well, today we're going to look at how to do the opposite, how to change something if it's in standard form and find the vertex and then be able to put it in vertex form. So it's a relatively easy concept as long as you're following and familiar with these three steps. The first step is to figure out what h is, because ultimately our first goal in steps 1 and 2 is finding the vertex. Remember, the vertex is made up of h and k. So our first step to find out what h is we're going to use this formula. It's the opposite of b over 2a. Because remember, our equation is going to be already in standard form. So the b is referring to the b that's in our standard form, and the a is also referring to this that's in standard form. But what you're going to want to do is, notice also that I said to take, it's the opposite of b. Notice I didn't say negative b. You want to think of this as being the opposite of whatever b is, and then divide by 2 times whatever a is. So again, that's going to give you your value for h. The next step is to figure out what k is. To find out what k is, we're going to substitute that's value for h in for x to find y, which is the same as the k part of your vertex. And then we're going to write our equation in vertex form, which again is y minus k equals a times x minus h squared. And the a that's in our vertex form is the same a that's at the beginning of our equation in standard form. So we can't forget about that a if there's a number inside, or if there's a number there for a. So let's look at this one. It says y equals x squared plus 12x plus 3. So the first step is to find the vertex. The vertex, remember, is made up of h and k. So this is going to be the opposite of b divided by 2a to find the value for h. And in which case, b is a positive 12, so it's going to be a negative 12. A is a positive 1. 2 times 1 is 2, so negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So I just found the first part of my vertex is negative 6. Now we're going to put negative 6 in here for x. So negative 6, when I square it, is going to be a positive 36. And then 12 times negative 6 is negative 72 plus 3. So again, this is 36 minus 72 plus 3. So 36 minus 72 is a negative 36. Negative 36 plus 3 is a negative 33. So the vertex of this parabola would be at negative 6, negative 33. So to write this in vertex form, it's going to be y minus the k, so k is negative 33, so it'll be y plus 33, equals our a. A is 1, so you don't need, you can put a 1 outside of parentheses if you want, but you don't need to. And then it's going to be x minus negative 6, which becomes x plus 6, and don't forget the square. So there's the vertex form of the parabola. Let's look at the next one. Again, you're trying to find the vertex first, so why don't you guys take a second, and actually why don't you try this one on your own. It's very similar to the previous one, so you should be able to do it pretty well. So hit pause and press play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, see how you did. Again, to find h, we take the opposite of b divided by 2a. The best way to memorize a formula is to write it down every time we use it. So it's the opposite of 10, which is negative 10. A in this case is, again, it's a 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. So I get my h is negative 5. To find k, I'm going to put negative 5 in the equation, so it's going to be negative 5 squared plus 10 times negative 5 minus 4. Negative 5 when you square it is 25. This is going to be negative 50 minus 4. 25 plus negative 50 is negative 25. Negative 25 minus 4 is the same as negative 25 plus a negative 4, which is negative 29. So to write this in vertex form, it's y minus k, so it would be y plus 29 equals A is 1 again, and then it'll be x minus -5, which becomes x plus 5 squared. Pretty easy process. Now, remember in the previous video we talked about this equation for the height of a ball after a certain amount of time. So let's solve this particular problem with rewriting this formula. It says, suppose a ball is thrown straight up from a height of 12 feet with an initial velocity of 32 feet per second. Use the formula to write an equation in standard form. So it's going to be the fact that everything's measured in feet. Here tells me that g is going to be 32 feet per second squared. So when I take negative 1/2 of it, it's going to be negative 16 t squared. Plus our initial velocity is 32 feet per second, so it's going to be 32 times t, plus your initial height of 12 feet, which is 12. So there's the equation in standard form. To find the vertex, remember the vertex here is important because the vertex represents, the y part of the vertex represents the maximum height. And in this case, the x part of our vertex represents the time that it takes you to reach that maximum height. So to find the vertex, we're going to do the same process that we were doing earlier. Opposite of b divided by 2a. So in this case, opposite of b is negative 32. 2 times a, well, 2 times negative 16 is also negative 32. And negative 32 divided by negative 32 is 1. So this means that after 1 second, this problem is going to reach its maximum height, or this ball, I should say. So now I'm going to put 1 in there for x, or for t, so it's going to be the height of the ball equals negative 16 times 1 squared plus 32 times 1 plus 12. Well, negative 16 times 1 squared, well, 1 squared is 1, so that times negative 16 is still going to be a negative 16. This is still going to be a 32 and plus 12. Negative 16 plus 32 is a positive 16, and 16 plus 12 is 28. So this is the vertex of the parabola. If they ask me how high, or what's the maximum height of the parabola, I'd say the maximum height would be 28 feet after 1 second. And that's what they're asking for part C. What does a vertex represent in the context of the problem? The ball's maximum height is 28 feet after 1 second would be your answer. Okay, I want you guys to try this last example on your own. So again, pause the video and hit play when you're ready to check your answer. Okay, so let's see how you did. Again, everything's here is measured in feet, so it's going to be negative 16 times t squared. Your initial velocity this time is 48 feet per second, so it'll be 48 t. Your initial height is 6. So now it's going to be the opposite of b divided by 2a to find the h part of your vertex. So the opposite of b is negative 48. 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. When you divide these out, now obviously a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 48 divided by 32 gives me 1.5. So this means after 1.5 seconds, the ball reaches its maximum height. Now we need to figure out, well, what is that maximum height? So we're going to take negative 16 times 1.5 squared plus 48 times 1.5 plus 6. And when you do that, you get 42 as your answer. So I guess I'm ahead of myself. Because I guess all they asked us to do here is to write an equation in standard form. So we've actually done part B here. So part B is where it asks us to find the maximum height of the ball. So now I know the maximum height of the ball would be 42 feet after 1.5 seconds. That's how you could write it. So with that, we're going to end this video. But again, the key part of this video is to make sure that you know these steps to be able to write an equation that's in standard form to get it in vertex form. You'll see, though, that it's a relatively simple process. So good luck on your assignment.